If there's a movie, he's gonna rate it. He's gonna talk to his friends and they'll debate it. He's gonna try his best to not be a hater. His name is Billy the Movie Grader.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Movie Grader and Friends podcast, your weekly or semi-weekly podcast talking about all of the latest movies in theaters. I am Billy the Movie Grader, and in this episode, I am joined by my friend Melissa. Say hello, Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
In this episode, Melissa and I will be discussing the latest Maleficent movie, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, and then figuring out which Disney villain Melissa is with another Buzzfeed quiz. Zombieland Double Tap was supposed to be tackled in this episode, but due to scheduling issues, it will be covered in next week's episode. Anyways, back to the new Maleficent movie. Maleficent, Mistress of Evil was released on October 18th, 2019, and it was directed by Joachim Roning and stars Angelina Jolie. Per IMDb, Maleficent is about Maleficent and her goddaughter Aurora beginning to question the complex family ties that bind them as they are pulled in different directions from impending nuptials, unexpected allies, and dark new forces at play. All right, so go ahead and start off, Melissa. What do you think of the movie?
I liked where they pretty much started from where the other one ended and how they brought some new characters and more action to this one.
Yeah, it definitely did have more action, but what do you think worked better than the other movie? Because as a whole, I think this one was better than the previous movie.
I think the graphics were 100% better. The color scheme, it was a lot brighter than the first one.
Yeah.
Even though it was called the Mistress of Evil, I feel like it was still pretty colorful. It wasn't, I feel like, as dark as the first one. I mean, it still had its darkness being Maleficent.
Well, yeah, but I think that's partly due because this one really isn't about Maleficent, which is kind of strange because the movie's titled all about her, but it's really not about her.
No, it actually really isn't. It's pretty much like the storyline of kind of what kind of creature, I don't know if that's the right word, of what Maleficent is. Like, it's kind of a little bit of her backstory. We always thought it was just her, but then we kind of learn what Maleficent is really about.
Exactly. We're not going to spoil it in this episode, of course, so if you care to find out who Maleficent really is, I guess you can go see it. I mean, I personally would wait for Netflix or however else you get your movies outside of theaters, but...
Sorry. Yeah, I would agree on that. I mean, it was okay to see in theaters, but yeah, even though I did like it, I would say it may not necessarily be worth seeing in the movies unless you have one of those movie plans where you can go see multiple movies and it's not a waste of your money.
Exactly. AMC A-list. Because honestly, I was so close to walking out of the movie, like halfway through, and then finally the cool battle sequence started, and like it kept me in my seat, and I ended up watching the whole movie. But honestly, before the battle sequence, I was bored to tears, and I was ready to walk out of the thing.
I do agree. It did start off pretty slow. And then, once, like I said, I think the colorfulness, if that makes sense, came out. I think that's when it became a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, I don't think this was Disney's strongest movie.
Oh, not even close.
I think they were just trying to finish that story. You know, there's plenty of people that, Maleficent, especially with everything that Disney Channel has done with Descendants. I think they needed to finish that storyline of Maleficent.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. I mean, Angelina Jolie did a really good job in it, you know, because I think she's perfect for the role of Maleficent, and Michelle Pfeiffer did a really good job as the queen for the Allstead house. It was just boring. I really don't care that much about Maleficent's storyline, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I actually only saw the first one a couple weeks ago just so I can see the second one. So yeah, I
Uh,
kind of would agree with you on that. Per like, if you want to say Disney villains, yeah, she's an important one, but I don't necessarily know that she's my favorite.
exactly.
Um, it's more of the Aurora. Like we never really see the Sleeping Beauty aspect of Aurora. So a lot of people may not realize that it actually is Sleeping Beauty.
Well,
Like
yeah,
if you never saw the first one, you wouldn't necessarily know that Aurora is Sleeping Beauty.
exactly. I mean, the first one dealt with more of the Sleeping Beauty storyline than this one did, but and the story was, I don't know, I think the story was a little bit better in this one than it was in the first one, but still.
Yeah, I mean I agree, and I do like, again, without going into spoiler alert, that they did bring in some aspects of the original Sleeping Beauty,
Yeah.
the animated version from before I was born. I think it was like 19. I don't know. You can. I don't know exactly when the
Google it.
original. Yeah, go ahead and Google it. But yeah, I definitely like how they brought in some of that we knew growing up. I
Yeah.
would also say for the people listening, I don't recommend taking on kids to this. It is pretty dark. So I mean, if you think it's Maleficent, it's not a little kid movie.
It wasn't as dark as the first one. I think
It
it's fine for
wasn't, but
little
there's
kids to see.
no, because there's some scary things, especially again without going into too many details in the battle scene. I do think some little kids, if they get scared easily, might get scared.
That's true. It did kind of go Game of Thrones. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's probably why you liked it.
Oh yeah, it's
Um,
only part of the movie I liked. The rest of it, eh.
yeah, I mean, I definitely, agree. I mean, it's fun to see, but like I said, or like you said, I think one of the only reasons I saw it was because I have the AMC A list.
Right. I mean, I only saw the first movie. When was it? Monday, just to get prepared for this movie, and I was like, this was just such a huge waste of time. The
Right.
first movie was really bad, and I was like, this that was painful to get through. And then like this one, the first hour of it is painful, and I was ready to
Yeah.
walk out. It's like, oh, I don't know.
But
I
also
did
saying that, I don't think you need to have seen the first one to
no.
really know what was going on in the second one, because they kind of, you maybe lost like the first couple minutes, but then they kind of tie it into so you kind of know what's going on.
I mean, no, not really. In the beginning of this one, the narrator kind of sums up the whole first movie as far as like where this movie stands with it, and they did a good job of bringing the audience up to speed. So you really do not need to see the first one, and I recommend not seeing the first one, honestly, because it was pretty bad.
Yeah, like, all my friends are like, oh, I can't wait to see Maleficent. I'm like,
Uh,
okay,
yeah, you
yeah.
can wait. No, it's like the only reason to see this movie, like, and if you're a guy, I guess it appeals more to the female audience, I guess, but like, because like, I guess girls dream of being a fairy and being a princess, and it kind of presents that kind of narrative to the audience. I don't know. It's for a guy, the typical male. There's really nothing in here except for the awesome battle sequence, which was cool and it was impressive and it was really well done and it looked cool on the Dolby Cinema screen that I saw it on because like you said earlier the CGI was pretty well done. I mean not it wasn't like on the level of Lion King, but it was still pretty cool to see and it was a step up from the previous movie because honestly those CGI graphics in the first one were oh my god I thought it was a TV movie. It was so bad. It was
Well,
so
yeah,
bad.
but when you think about it, 5 years in CGI world is a huge difference. Like
Oh
this was
yeah.
2014 versus here we are in 2019. So yeah, I definitely think the graphics,
It was a different world.
this CGI were amazing, but I do agree with you. It's not nearly as well done as some of their other Disney's other movies. I mean, look at with Star Wars. I feel like they do better CGI there than
Yeah, I mean,
necessarily
well,
here.
I think they set the benchmark with CGI with Lion King. I mean,
Yeah.
if you've seen that movie and if you happen to own it, go into the extras and check out the extra. I think it's called Magic. And what it does, it tells you how they made the movie, and the way they pulled this off is mind-blowing. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it's absolutely incredible. Like, my mind was just simply blown after I watched that featurette, and it was just so cool. It's
Okay, if somebody has not seen Lion King yet, then there's something wrong with them because it's been out long enough that you should have been able
right,
to see it 1, 3, 5 times by now. I
right.
mean, being an adult, even though I cringe sometimes when you hear the studios remaking movies from our childhood, and
Uh-huh.
some of them I wish they would just leave alone, but like Lion King, for them doing it from a animated to a live action, I think they did an amazing job.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't live action; it was animated, but it looks like it's live action, and
Exactly, like
it's
more
crazy.
CGI'd, yeah.
You have to see that featurette on how they made it. It was amazing. All right, I guess that's all we have to say, really, about Maleficent. So, what would you grade the movie, Melissa?
I would say B minus, C plus.
B minus, C plus. All right, that's fair. I gave it a D. Like I said, battle sequence awesome. Rest of the movie trash. So now we're gonna find out which Disney villain Melissa is. So we're gonna run through the questions here. All right, Melissa, what's your greatest quality? Being manipulative, being sinister, being vain, being sadistic, or being ambitious?
Being ambitious.
Okay, okay. Next question is, what is your ideal lair? A deep castle in the woods, a castle atop a mountain, a palace in a kingdom, out in the wild, or in a cave?
I would say in the kingdom.
How would you describe yourself? Elegant but powerful, mysterious, beautiful and regal, minimal but still intimidating, or glamorous?
That second one I think was mysterious.
Mysterious, yeah. How do you prefer your sidekick? Wide-cracking, cunning, insane, sly, or you don't like sidekicks?
I don't like sidekicks.
Okie dokie. What is the best motivation to be evil? For revenge, to obtain power, out of jealousy, out of pride, or out of spite?
That's spite.
Spite. Okie dokie. Next question is, what is the best accessory a villain can have? A staff, a cauldron, a crystal ball, long robes, or no accessory at all?
No accessory at all.
Okay, none. Which of these powers is the best? The ability to hypnotize people, being able to use magic spells, the ability to metamorphose? I guess, I don't know what that is. Being able to put curses on people, or just plain old brute strength?
What was the first one again?
Ability to hypnotize people.
That one.
What are your power colors? Orange and brown, black and red and purple, purple and black, or black and gray?
Red and purple.
Okie dokie. What is your weapon of choice? A staff, a henchman, no need to get your hands dirty, magic, of course, teeth and claws, or transformation?
Henchman.
Which of these do you hate the most? True love, beauty, family, not being included, or those with more power?
Not being included.
What's the best way to get back at your enemies? Embarrassing them, putting a curse on them, emotionally manipulating them, emotionally manipulating one of their loved ones, or killing them?
Emotionally manipulative a loved one.
Okay. Your biggest fear is sword through the heart, falling off a cliff, having a boulder fall on you, being entrapped in a small space, or being struck by lightning.
Small space.
All right. What did you think? Which villain do you think you got?
No clue.
You got Jafar from Aladdin.
Okay.
Now
I can handle that.
it's now the BuzzFeed article says, now show us how snake-like you can be. I mean, I know Melissa personally, of course, and she's not like Jafar. Don't be scared, people.
Well, I can be if I want to be.
All right, now moving on to talking about the two movies opening up for the week of October 25th. First one on the list is Countdown, and it's a horror/thriller that's directed by Justin Deck, DEC. It stars Ann Winters, Elizabeth Lale, and Charlie McDermott. It's about a phone app that's able to predict when people will die. Any interest in seeing it?
Not a one.
Exactly. Me too. I don't care either. Next one on the list is Black and Blue. It's an action crime drama directed by Dion Taylor. It stars Mike Coulter, Naomi Harris, and Frank Grillo. Per IMDb, it is about a rookie police officer in New Orleans trying to balance her identity as a black woman with her role as a police officer when she witnesses other police officers committing murder. Any interest in this one?
Possibly. I don't know if I would see it necessarily opening weekend, but like maybe in like a week or two when there was nothing that I must see and I want to go see a movie, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a desire to see Black and Blue either, and Countdown just sounds incredibly stupid, so...
Well, I think, when it comes to horror, they just, okay, what can we do next to keep people entertained? I think with horror, unfortunately, it's the same storyline. They just tweak it.
Right. It looks.
We just know people die. I mean,
it looks so stupid. I saw the trailer for it, and I was literally laughing. I was like, "This is such a stupid idea."
Yeah.
So, anyways, like that. Those are the two movies that come out next week. So, because I didn't tackle Zombieland this week, I will be seeing Zombieland 2 next week. So, that will do it for this episode of the Movie Gator and Friends podcast. Next week, of course, watch out for the podcast episode dealing with Zombieland 2, Double Tap. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at The Movie Grader, and please visit the website, www.themoviegrader.com. On iTunes, please review and subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. Also, please tell your friends about the podcast. Thanks for the support. The Movie Grader and Friends podcast is available on all major podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and basically anywhere you can get your podcasts. This has been the Movie Grader and Friends podcast. Thank you for your time. Feel free to email me at themoviegrader@gmail.com with any comments or questions, and see you next Tuesday.